Jacaranda FM.
10:07. It is a pleasure to welcome two gentlemen this morning to the studio. Firstly, the guy we were talking about the whole morning, Ralph Machecha, is here, wrote the book When Zuma Goes. It only releases tomorrow. It's the big day. Eh?
Certainly it's the launch day tomorrow.
Yes, man. There's so many things I need to get to. I've got a whole list, but we'll get to it. But also with us, and it's a huge pleasure to welcome him to the studio as well, became quite a celebrity in his own right recently. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the non-executive chairman of Anglo Gold Ashanti. He does a lot of things. He's at Izingwe Capital Limited. He does a whole lot of business things as well. But more than that, at a funeral, this man, our guest this morning, had a few things to say about our beloved president. And just a recap of it.
It's time for new leadership.
Strong words. He featured on Carte Blanche on Sunday as well. Sipho Pachana is here. Nice to welcome you to the studio, Sipho.
Thank you very much.
Listen, I'm going to kick off with you. We saw you getting very emotional on Sunday during the interview. And they sort of cut it there and they said, well, it's becoming too much to bear for a lot of people. Yeah. But what was that emotion? Where was that coming from? Tell me.
Well, that emotion was coming from a question that was raised about how one feels about where we are. And it provoked me to reflect on the conversation with Reverend Stofile, who was quite sad in his deathbed, reflecting on so many of our comrades who didn't make and see the promised land that we are all about, and who died in the trenches, who were tortured and killed, some of whose families were decimated, particularly in the 80s, and unrecognized.
Let me ask you this, to interrupt you, and we've had some really prominent people here before, and I'm not going to remind you now who said what, but it was interesting. Some of the guys that have gone through the years, through the decades that were in the struggle, a lot of them saying the same thing. They said, we saw this coming. We knew what kind of a person Jacob Zuma was. We knew this was probably how it's going to roll out. Are you one of those people? Did you see this coming? Or were you surprised?
Well, I wasn't entirely surprised because certainly the case that President Zuma avoided just before he became president had all the signs that this is somebody who had his hands deep in corruption.
But what was the thing that broke your back, that broke the camel's back? And you said, I'm so angry now, I've got to say something at the funeral. What was it for you?
Well, this so-called collective responsibility statement by the leadership of the ANC is nothing but prevarication. It's denialism. At the heart of the problems that the ANC faces is the Zuma leadership. He sets the tone. Mbeki set the tone. Tambo set the tone. Zuma's legacy is one that has plunged the ANC to an all-time low. Of all the ANC leaders that it has had since 1912, this is the worst.
Yeah. Now, next to you, When Zuma Goes is the book by Ralph Machecha. Now, someone explained it to me, and I love the way they explained it to one of your publishers. Explained it to me. They say it's a pyramid. If Zuma goes, it's not the end of our troubles.
Exactly, it's not the end of our trouble, and I think we run the risk of misdiagnosing the problem in South Africa. And my view is that the problem is systemic, and I think we shouldn't have a false debate because there are people who are speaking within the party, and I'm always suspicious. For me, you need to prove to me when you are inside the party that you are discontent with Zuma is based on principle. My worry, I'll be honest with you, you can write off the expenditure on Nkandla and so forth. My worry is what kind of track will Zuma have laid when he leaves South Africa?
Jacaranda FM.